evening, friends. Good evening and welcome to, I'll take these off now, Littleport Christian Spiritualists. Way! Now, you might notice that I have the laptop in front of me. You might notice I have an empty chair beside of me. But this is life. Shelley, our medium, is on her way, but she is stuck in traffic. She said, do you think I could fill in for her until she gets here? And I said, well, I don't really usually have much to say, so I don't know, but I'll give it a go. And unfortunately, Sam, Hannah, and Jack can't be with us tonight. Hannah's a bit poorly, but she is with us in spirit and hiding somewhere on the screen. Just remember, you two, I can see you down there. And of course, we will have Reverend Alan, who's waiting in the wings too. So we've got a fun-filled night. It's unusual, it's different, but I'll show you something else that's good tonight. Are you ready, Barry? Papa, can you hear me? Papa, can you see me? Papa, can you hear me? We've got a radio mic now, so the sound issue, I'm hoping, is resolved. If you can hear me now, I'm whispering to you. It's resolved, and you can hear us, so fingers crossed, eh? But fingers crossed, we will have a wonderful, wonderful, technical glitch-free night. And I know, of course, that Spirit will be looking after Shelley to get her here nice and safely and in timely fashion too. So, friends, let's begin by opening this service in prayer. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends, to unite under your banner of love and hope and friendship, to witness the proof and the truth that life is indeed eternal. As I place this service in your care and keeping, we ask that a speedy and safe journey filled with kindness, with comfort, and with enjoyment is given to our instrument of yours this evening, so that she may be at peace and comfortable to work when she arrives. But of course, we will leave that in your hands, Great Spirit. And as we also leave this service in your care and keeping, we make the statement as ever, that everything we do is in the name of love, in the name of truth, and in the name of light. Amen. And of course, you'll be able to see everyone's comments popping up as soon as I've sat down and can start clicking buttons. But of course, it's at this point in our service that I usually say a few words anyway. So I have never normally planned anything that I've got to say, but I do get indications from the world of spirit throughout my week, throughout the experiences. Now, one of the things that we're told by certain quarters in mediumship, that your address, your philosophy, shouldn't be personal, but I've never believed that. Because how can we draw reference, make our philosophy explainable, if we don't draw on our own personal experiences? But we do try and make sure that it's about the message and not the messenger. And that's the big difference. And I am reminded, of course, by a wonderful medium who used to serve this church many, many years ago, who once said to me, Nick, what do you want out of spirit and the world of spirit and your work in spirit? And I said, well, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing, one day perhaps being a minister. And she said, but Nick, you're the president of your church, or at least I was at that time. She said, you're the president of your church, so you already minister. It's about how we look at things and how we perceive what it is that we are doing. Another thing that lovely lady once said to me was, Nick, do you know what ego stands for? And I was about to come up with some wonderful flowery words, but she butted in straight away, wouldn't let me finish, and said, it stands for because it was not an open question. It stands for easing God out. And it's a wonderful saying. And in this way of life, we do talk a lot about ego. But I will say that there is a risk about making it a primary focus, because we can all tell when someone's actions are based on ego or based on the word of spirit. Spirit will let us know if we don't see it. But if we talk so much about you can't do this because of ego, you can't say that because of ego, you can't do this because of ego, there is a risk that people will stop acting on certain impulses for fear of it being ego. And no more did this lesson get shown to me than in an experience that I had literally at around about 3 o'clock this morning. So please humour me. I was listening to some lovely music playing through the telly to help me get to sleep. For some reason, I can't settle down at night and sleep. It's terrible. But I was listening to this music and I fell asleep. And I had a dream. And I was dreaming about a young lad who was a friend of mine many years ago, who passed away, unfortunately. And for many years, I tortured myself, I suppose, really. Could I have done more? Should I have done more? Could I have said something or asked the right question of the spirit world? Could I have made it different? And I know I'm not alone, because to be human and compassionate is to question everything. And could we have done better? But that dream I had, I was put in a position where I might have been able to do something about it. Because in this dream, I woke up a number of years before his passing. And me being me, I went to a friend of his and said, look, you need to look after him, you need to keep an eye on him, you need to get him to go and see a doctor. And the friend laughed and wandered off. And I went to another of his friends and said, look, you need to get him to do this, you need to get him to do that. And again, it fell on deaf ears. So I then went running around and I found someone else and said, doesn't he look a bit poorly? Don't you think he should go and see a doctor? You might want to tell him to go and see a doctor. Again, deaf ears. I was getting more and more frustrated. But for fear of being the message rather than the messenger, I made one fatal error. I kept going to other people. Finally, I went to one last person, his partner at the time that this dream was happening, and said, look, I'm really sorry. I need to tell you a secret, and you can't tell anyone. I need you to do this for me because this is going to happen. And she got really upset. Well, she would, wouldn't she? And I woke up startled and upset. But the wonderful thing about being a medium is that you get help when you have a bad dream. Because at the bottom of my bed was my friend standing there beaming at me from the world of spirit. And he said this, Nick, you donut. And that's exactly the way he would have put it, of course. And I went, what are you doing here? He says, well, because obviously it was a dream and it didn't work. But that's life. And I said, so what you're telling me is that my dream is telling me that some things are meant to be and I can't save everyone. But he then said to me this, if that's what you think the message of this story is, you've missed the point. And I said, what do you mean? He said, there was one person you didn't tell. There was one person you didn't come to. There was one person you didn't give that vital information to. Me. If you'd have come to me in your dream and spoke to me in your dream, maybe things would have still worked out as they would have done. It certainly would have here, because it's just a dream, Nick. But I was so afraid of being seen as the messenger rather than just someone passing on a message. I held back. I worked in the shadows. I went round the houses. I didn't go directly. I didn't shout from the rooftops this message that I had. I worked secretly, and I failed. Because sometimes you have to be loud. Sometimes you have to be noisy. Sometimes you have to make a fuss. That's not ego. That's doing what you're supposed to. I woke up with this information in this dream. It was a responsibility of mine to do something useful with it. It would have not been ego to have gone to him and passed that information on. It was me that was afraid of being seen as this divine messenger. It was me that interpreted that, because I was afraid of people thinking, oh, what an egotistical little what's it. There is a difference between doing what Spirit wants you to do and being filled with ego. And there's an easy way to tell. Because if you do what you do because it matters, because it helps, because you care, because you think it's the right thing to do, that's Spirit work. If you do it because you want to be the center of attention and have everyone come to you and say, oh, how wonderful you are. Oh, look what you did. Look what you achieved. That's ego. They might appear similar in behavior, but it's the attitude behind it. If your actions are for the right reason, there's never going to be ego in it. And certainly, if you sit there, as all of you have done, because I know you, if you sit there and say, is this the right thing to do? Am I doing the right thing? Should I do this? Will they be upset? Can I get away with that? Should I really do it? Then you are a good person with good intentions. If you're thinking, well, if I do this and if I do that, then people will remember me for 1,000 years. That's ego. So, my friends, do not be put off from speaking your truth, from being loud, because Spirit have given you a job to do. We do it. Speaking of Spirit giving us a job to do, look who's here, everyone, Shelley Youell! And you're all right, because I ain't finished yet, so you got time to sit down and chillax. Right. There's some water for you, my love. When you act, it's about how you act. When you speak, it's about what you speak of. Did Joshua Carpenter 2,000 years ago sit there and think, oh, if I do all this, my name will be spoken for 2,000 years and beyond? Or did he just sit there and think, cool, things are a mess, we really ought to do something about it? And use every tool in his arsenal to do something about it? I'd like to think that it was the latter. Because let's face it, for the last 2,000 years, everyone's been saying the wrong name. But does that matter? No. Because the message was received. The message was shared. And that is what matters. So speak loudly your truth. Speak proudly your truth, so long as you know that you are doing it for the right reason, to help people. And as I always say, to just be nice. That is what matters. That is what counts. And do not ever be told otherwise when you know in your heart that you're acting for the right reasons. God bless you all, and thank you for listening. Well, now, my friends, I get to have a rest and share some lovely messages, because there's about 27 sitting in the queue waiting, because now I'm going to ask, and hopefully the technology is working, when your turn comes, I'm just going to pluck that off and you can tuck it on your jacket. That's all. That's the only technical issue. So let's say those magical words. Reverend Alan, are you there?
Good evening, Littleport.
Good evening. Thank the Lord for that. I haven't just been speaking to myself for the last half an hour. Reverend Alan, what have you got for us tonight?
Well, I was thinking to myself, how am I going to tie in with that? But we'll see. Just Between You and Me, Lord, by Alora M. Knight. Just between you and me, Lord, I'd like to say, it's not always easy to follow your way. I understand what you mean by the golden rule. To create good life, there is no better tool. Still, what if you've been taught to look down on others? Do we want to believe that we are all sisters and brothers? It's hard not to resent the neighbour next door who does so little work, yet has so much more. There are so many tragedies that happen worldwide. It brings much unhappiness that I cannot be denied. I sit here complaining when I know it is true that all of those troubles were not caused by you. Yes, it just seems to me, if I remember it right, you did give instructions that could shed lots of light on the way life could be if your rules were obeyed. What a wonderful world it could be if we all prayed. I'm glad of the chance to discuss this with you. I'll try not to forget what I know I should do. You gave me free will, so now it's plain to see. I will need your help often, just between you and me. Thank you.
And by special request, they can see you at home now. Alan, thank you. And do you know what? I know we always worry, how's it going to tie in? But actually, doing the work of God, that just between you and me, God, that personal relationship between God is all that matters to decide whether you're doing the right thing or not. So I personally believe it does, Alan. So thank you.
Welcome.
God bless you, my friend. We'll see you a bit later on, yeah?
Will do.
God bless you, mate. See you soon. Bless him. I always look forward to one of Alan's readings. Now, of course, he will be sharing it later for closer analysis. And so now, friends, is the time in our evening where we send out our thoughts to all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort. In particular, please do send your healing, of course, to our Hannah. And obviously, Mum will need some as well, Samantha. And please send your healing thoughts to Mandy and Paul, who Mandy's obviously not here tonight. She couldn't make it. And Paul's a bit poorly, her partner. Mother, was there anyone else? No. So I actually got through the list right this week. I'm doing quite well. So please ask for healing for yourself too. And of course, we will begin by having the healing prayer. And we will listen to some lovely music and end with the word Amen. So let's join together as we send out our thoughts and say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, Here we bring unto you all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort, be they sick in mind, body, or spirit, that it may please thee to heal them. This we ask for those we know, for those we do not know, and those who have no one to ask for them. We ask for them now. Amen. Speaking of healing, friends, there is healing available after the service from the lovely Tony, who is always here to serve us with his healing abilities too. And so now, friends, it gives me great pleasure to welcome a very dear friend of this church who has really endured to get here tonight. Bless you. So thank you for your efforts in achieving an arrival in a safe method. And I know Spirit will have helped that, of course. But friends, I know she may wish to say a few words first, if you wish to. And then a demonstration of mediumship from our very good friend, the lovely Shelley Youell.
It was. Well, good evening, everyone. I got here eventually, or we did. It was certainly a journey. But isn't life a journey of twists and turns? And as I was driving along and chuntering at all the traffic, the gridlock, and I was going, but then I feel so guilty because somebody there may be fighting for their life. So if you have a minute in your prayers and we don't know them, I just hope you'll be okay. But life is very much twists and turns, isn't it? You get up one day and you got your focus for the day, and how often does that change? Sometimes for the better, sometimes not. And when I came in and that lovely philosophy and the reading, it's interesting because this has been a thought of mine for some time about the kindness and how we are towards each other. And the thing is, there's a paragraph left of the book in the car, actually, rushing in what Silver Birch says about, it being like we judge with imperfect minds, with imperfect perspective. I can't get words out, and and it was this, that are all perfect in our imperfections. We're striving to learn, to evolve, aren't we, as a soul? I always look at this situation, who are we to be judge and jury, in life? Because who are we to judge somebody in front of us for their actions and behaviour? Because they will face their God. They are their own judge and jury. I'm not condoning bad behaviour, but the bad then also highlights the good, doesn't it? And we learn. How often do we learn through good? We learn more sometimes challenges and struggles, sadly, but we do, don't we? And as it being a medium, and we give messages, we are of service to both this world and the other. And we are not judge and jury to who we allow in, what they need to say, because we don't know the reasoning behind what the actual communication is. But also, like when we look at others with this judgment's a tool of discernment if you look through the eyes of love. But if we look sometimes, and we've all been at fault of it, that, well, that's wrong and this, that and the other. But if I put this to you, if a lady with 5 children had no money and she was desperately wanting to feed her children, and she went in a shop and stole a loaf of bread, as an observer of, yes, it would be against our government law because it's theft. But is in the eyes of God, that's a bad act to want to love her children and feed them. But we don't often realise behind why people do what they do. And again, I'm not condoning the bad in this world, but sometimes we do sit in judge and jury far too much. And sometimes we do that ourselves, don't we? Very much so. And we never know, like I said, what's going to happen in our day-to-day life, like this evening, the twists and turns of life. Who would have ever thought that it's been at least 2.5 years since I've been here physically because of a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. I believe that we all mask and isolate, you know, we just never know, do we? And I don't know about you, but it's made us look at life with different eyes. I mean, and value people, the humanity that's come from this, the kindness and the love, but it also has highlighted the not so good. But it's brought humanity together, hasn't it, as a great community to support each other. And a lot of good's come through it. As sadly, there's a lot of sadness that's come through it too. And with us being pioneers and ambassadors of the Spirit, it's now our responsibility to be there for others more than ever before, because there's so many people suffering through grieving, mental health, anxieties and struggles. So this is a time more than ever to look through the eyes of love, not harsh judgment, and try and support even the people that we don't get on with. They're the hardest to love sometimes, but sometimes they need the love more than anybody because we don't know why they are the way they are. So to follow on, I could go on, but I won't because I know that you've done yours. So, welcome. I'm kind of got into it a bit now as well after all that journey here. Hey, we're here safe and sound. That's the main thing. So, and I know that I've got a gentleman with me. I know when I was stumbling with my words, it wasn't because I didn't know what to say. I knew it was Spirit with me, and I knew it was a gentleman. And actually, as he comes, I feel really sick with it. So I know that there was a lot of sickness, problems that affected his stomach, his digestive area. Ooh. Yeah, and it just, I can't get my words out. I'm stumbling with my words with him. So much I wanted to, now my throat's going. So much I wanted to say, but I couldn't get it out. And I passed very quickly. That's how it makes me feel. I passed very quickly. I know that it come out the blue, really. It wasn't 1 minute I'm in, next minute I passed. But the illness suddenly gripped him very quickly, or whatever happened, and it just, turn of events was so quick. Does anybody understand this so far? I haven't got a name as yet. Yeah, because I kept looking your direction, because I don't sometimes know. Nick, you don't know this, do you? Because I'm drawn here, you see, and I know I feel, yeah, really emotional. And I don't know, no, I've got a funny throat here as well. I know I'm getting over a cold, but I know that there's a lot going on there as well. So they're not the same person, are they? No, I'm just double checking because I know you know each other. So let's see. There's a B name, like a Brian or something connected to him. I don't think it's his name. Do you understand that? Right, I'm coming back to you because I feel the pull both ways. So you would understand all what I've said, because I know I felt so sick. So whatever the condition was really affected his digestive system, but it affected me here as well, because I'd say my throat and everything's going on there. But also this need to talk, and I couldn't get my words out properly. And it happened all so quick that he never got the opportunity to tie up loose ends, really. And actually, he's a lovely man, but there was things he wanted to say sorry for. And he wanted to make amends, because he didn't always voice it out, but he was quite a deep thinker. He's quite a worrier at times. Does that make sense? Yeah, because to the outside world, they'd think he was a bit cold, to be honest, but he wasn't, deep down. But he just was one of these gentlemen that couldn't express himself very well. And when he tried to, it had come across a bit blunt. Excuse me, because I am getting over a cold as well. But so I know with him, he also looks with you, he gives me a sense of looking at you and saying sorry to you as well. Because I'll find out why. Because there's something there where he just felt like he could have done more for you than he did. He felt like he wanted to support you more than he did. But you don't understand that, do you? Because I feel this sense of that there's so much more I see now where he could have supported you and helped you, encouraged you forward more. Do you understand that?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't encourage her, you know, but this is not because she needs to, but to him it does. It's like he's got a bucket list of people he wants to make amends with. To some, it, like for you, he doesn't need to, but for him, he does. You know that it was such a shock, his passing. And you was thinking about him the other day, weren't you? Yeah, would it have been Tuesday by any chance? Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah,
There may have been a conversation about him as well. Yeah, because he's been around. So I know he's very aware that he's very still much in your thoughts and the family, of course. So, but I know he puts his arm around your shoulder because he wants to lift you up. And I know that's not really something he's very good at. It's something he would have wanted to do, but he didn't know how to apply himself in that manner. But I know now he puts that around you because we've all had our roller coaster ride and still have one, the roller coaster of life, really. But he says, as you've had a fit of 6 weeks or so of it being a bit heavy going, and it's all come at once, and he knows he wants to lift you up a bit. Doing his best to support you more, but also he shows this sense of you going, you want to do something. He's not telling me what, it's not our business, that you're trying to, I'm going to do it, and then you talk yourself out of it and go back, don't you? And he's behind you. This is the image he shows me with his hands gently pushing you forward. Do you understand this? So I know there's this encouragement, and that's why he brought up about the sorry. You know, this encouragement for you to go forward. Oh, do you understand Mick as well? Mike, I nearly said Mike, but I knew it was, yeah, because I know he makes reference there. And I'm also, I don't know if it's this gentleman, but I've got a pipe. Yeah, because I can smell the tobacco, and that pipe's still looked after, isn't it? It's still in the family.
I believe it is.
Yeah, because he gives me that sense. I don't believe it's being used or it's out on display or anything like that. It's just tucked away in a drawer somewhere, but I know it's still kept. And but he really does. You're quite surprised he's come forward, he just said. Yeah, so, because he hasn't been forward for a while, or I know it's not something, but he weren't a good communicator when he was here. And he says, well, you know, he's a man of few words, really. At times he'll come and he'll say his bit and he's gone again. And that's what he's doing now. But he just like giving you that encouragement. It's your choice, of course, but he's giving you that encouragement just to, you know, go forward. All right. So, and keep going. I mean, you're going on, so I don't know how you can do all that and do what you was thinking of doing, but he's encouraging you gently forward to have the confidence, right? So, yeah, bless him. Just a while, hasn't he? Yeah. I don't know how long, but I know we're not talking of like the last 5 years. I'm going back. So, and I'm going to leave his love with you and his strength, because he does bring lots of love for you. I do know that. I just know he had a funny way of showing it to everybody, really. But character as well. So I'll leave his love with you. Thank you. Right. Let's see if your gentleman's here. But you would understand all what I'd said.
Yes.
And the sickiness. Yeah. And the turn of events were very quick.
Yes.
And it almost makes me feel like chaotic then, because it seemed like everything was a whirlwind. And people coming and going and sorting and misdiagnosis or misunderstandings and confusion. Do you understand that? And I know that you this is not your dad, is it? Oh, bless his heart. Oh, that's made me really touched.
You knew he'd have to come and say hello to you.
Oh, that's made me. Oh. Sorry, but yes, I've got choked up now. Oh, bless him. Get yourself together, Shell. I never thought, because he'd always make me a cup of tea. Oh dear, not professional, me getting choked up. But anyway, because I've got to sort of bring you in on this then, Linda. So I know that the chaos that went on, well, I didn't know, obviously, but he makes me aware of this, and I don't know what happened. You know I don't. But I know that it was one of those where one day everything was sort of okay, and the next day everything just went upside down and pear-shaped. Now, I know there's military connections because I know that you've got a grandfather in spirit that's military. But would your dad have military background?
Yes, there is military connections and a kind of a military association.
Yeah, because I was going to say, makes me aware that it wasn't just in the family, he was involved somehow with it. So I know with that. One of you's held his watch just recently. And I was going to say today, it hasn't got a brown leather strap by any chance, because he was with you and you was sending thoughts to him, you was talking to him, weren't you? And because I know with that, but you haven't got his wallet, you've still got that. Yeah, because I know we often have these things, but I know that he wants you to, obviously he was with you when you was, but you know he would be, you knew that. But it's nice to get that confirmation, isn't it? So I know, I feel that, well, I'm always humble, but I'm really quite overwhelmed, really, that he's come and worked with me. But he makes me laugh, though, because he goes, why? Because it's like, what do you expect? You know. But I know that he stands tall. I know he wasn't a great tall man, but he stands tall again and proud. So I know whatever with the condition, all my body aches. Everything aches. You understand that with him. So it's like this. I can't. Everything was an effort, and but the blessing was when he passed. It was extremely peaceful. You'd understand this, and would you also know, because you was there with him, and you weren't just the two of you though. There was more, wasn't there?
Well, yeah. Technically there was, yeah.
Yeah, but would you understand that you was aware of a lady that had come to collect him from spirit? Because it was a conversation after.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was his mum or sister, he's not telling me, but I know he's confirming that what you picked up yourself. Yeah, and you was become aware not only of her, she was the leader, but there was also like 4 others, 4 that his family, close family, I don't know if it's brothers and sisters or I don't know, he's not telling me, but I know they're in immediate family that were there, and you talked about this and you was aware of them. You was aware of them in the room. Would you also understand that there was a light in the room, or there was a spiritual experience around the time of his passing? It is a spiritual experience, but what I mean is either you see a light in the room, like spirit light and things like that, because I know it's like a guardian angel type, as people say. I mean, I wouldn't normally say, but it's that kind of experience there as well. But you would also understand when he was in between the levels of consciousness that he was looking beyond, like he was aware of them in the room. You would understand that as well, because I know that he's given you all clarity of all of that, because I know that you was aware of it. And I know that he seemed so much in discomfort, but he said that went instantly. That went absolutely instantly past. And I know it did. And he says, sorry, son. Because not because he's done anything particularly wrong, but he's like, sorry, it was my time to go. So when it was, because even though we do what we do, we know we still go through the grieving of missing them in a physical. But I know he says, I'm sorry, son, that I had to go. And there's so much he wants to say, but it's a bit... you've still got his wedding ring as well, haven't you? Yeah, because he just said you've still got his wedding ring, and you're wondering what to do with it, aren't you? Because you've been looking at some of his things, as you would do. You've been looking at them and thinking, what am I going to do? I keep it? Shall I, where is it? But he says, don't make any rash decisions yet. You'll make the right ones. He says, you was always the one that kept him strong. You know that, don't you? Because, he says you always was the one that encouraged him. Because, of course I did. Lovely, lovely man. But he, you always encouraged him. You always put him in his place as well, he goes. Of course. And he shows me a lovely dark blue suit of his. Do you understand this? That feels very relevant, particularly this dark blue suit. So I don't know whether you dressed him in it, but I just know that it's a very important one, and there's a wonderful photograph of them in this suit. But no. I was just about to say that it was his wedding one, because there's a lovely photograph of you two, and then I was about to say it's the wedding one. So, and I know that that's very... That's the only reason I knew it was blue. Right, okay, that's interesting. Because I knew that it was very important as he brings that forward. And I know I brought medals before forward, but as your dad got some sort of medals as well, I don't know if they're like the war medals as such, but he's got like medals. He had a service medal. Right, service medal, but I knew it weren't like the campaign medals, like, the victory one or all those. But I knew he got some like top of military medals. So I know he's very proud of that. And but there is still those other medals. You've got them. I'm sure I've brought that information to you many sometimes. But I see you putting them with his medal. Yeah, and there's talks of putting them on for remembrance, but you'll wear them with his. And I know he's very touched by that. He's very touched, because I know he's very, very about that day as well. That day, the Remembrance Day. I mean, it moves many of us, but I know it did your dad, very much so. And do you know, it's like he's got lots to tell you, Linda, but he don't want to do it in a public forum. Would you understand that? Probably. Yeah, if he's still with me after, I'll have a quick word. And I wouldn't normally do that, but it's like I keep wanting to say, but I can't publicly. Not because it's just private between you and him, but I'm sure there's something more for you with that. He also, I know that George is connected there, that's in spirit. Do you also understand a Stuart as well?
Yes, you weren't here, but that was who I was talking about earlier.
And am I correct, Stuart's in spirit as well? He's far younger though.
Yes.
Far younger, he's similar age to you. Yeah. So they've met up then, because I know it makes me aware. That's when you did that walk for. He's just shown me the stick, the walking stick. This is interesting. So I wouldn't have made the connection, but I have now. So, and I know that they raise a hand. So I know that there's been a glass raised to your dad, to your husband. There's been a glass raised between you, and he raises his glass too. Until we meet again, really, but he's going to be around a lot. He's been around. Yeah, because he's made lots of noises and there's been lots of fragrances and all sorts of things. You've heard him in the bedroom. You've been in another room and he's been moving or clinking things about. So I know that, and there's been times that you've walked through a room and you felt this coldness, like, you know, like his presence was there. So he's just clarifying how much he's been there with you. You've been looking out in the garden. I will move on, but he just really wants to keep me. Been looking out in the garden, there's something you chose, an ornament or something in the garden that you chose together or reminds you of him. Does that make sense? You've been looking at that this week, haven't you? Yeah, and thinking of him, chatting to him. So I know it's like you're looking through the window and he's been standing with you, but you felt like he has. So I know he's just giving you confirmation that, you know, obviously he's very much around you, both, very much. And he's, it's almost like he says, when I said very much around you both, he said, yeah, annoyingly a lot. So I know he brings that. And I know that there's some decision you're trying to make. Is it to do with his ashes? There's something to do with that, making decision. And he's like, you'll make the decision what's right for you. Yeah, but I know that he says you make that right decision, that you know that it feels right. So that's what's very important. Well, you're very important to both of you. All the family are. I know many get breathless, but I'm like, I've gone really breathless now. So I know that he couldn't, for a time they could talk a bit and then he couldn't. And then he got where he couldn't talk. You would understand that. So I know that, but he's larger than life now. So he's having his cup of tea and his biscuits and his cake. He got quite, I didn't know that. Has he got quite a sweet tooth? I thought so, because he shouldn't have it though. I don't know if he's diabetic. I don't know if he's diabetic, yeah, because I didn't know that either. But he goes, but I can eat as much of it as I like now. So I know, and that's as far as, and there's no mushy stuff. He's like, oh, I'm not going down that road. Because he's not really like that, if you know what I mean. He can be, but he just wanted to come in and just reassure you very much that the decisions that you've been making on his behalf, he's more than happy with. All right. And I meant to say you'd got his watch because I did see it, but I got carried away with medals and things. And
You did say it earlier.
Did I? Oh, well, that's all right then. So, but I didn't even remember saying it, you see, doesn't it? But now I understand why I was tongue-tied. I had the pair of them. Bless them. So I'm going to leave his love with you, and until we chat again, really, because that's going to be a regular basis. Yeah, regular basis. So I'll leave his love with you both. Thank you. Okay, so now I just heard Mum. So I know I've got Mum here. Now I know that this lady makes me feel I don't know, it's actually Orthodox religion. I feel actually, I want to call her a very spiritual lady. So I know that there's, I almost feel like a spiritualist, actually, to be fair. So I feel that she either had mediumistic abilities or was very aware anyway of the spirit world. I just know there's a strong belief there in her God and of the afterlife. And I know that Anne is a name that's very significant with her, but also a Mary there as well. But I'm not sure that both of those are her name, but it could even be Mary Ann. But I know that name feels very relevant. I know there's books that are being kept that of hers that have been kept. There's boxes of them. And I believe these aren't just fictional. They're actually philosophical books, there's spiritual books, and there's actually some with journaling or writing in as well. Who would understand this? Right, we're back to you again. So you understand everything I say? Oh, they're determined to all come and give you a bit of a boost, aren't they? Well, you'd understand she was a spiritualist, or very spiritual, but I feel very much got the mediumistic ability. Yeah, so you understand the Mary and the Anne? They're not joined together, not Mary and Anne, are they? No. But there's Rose there as well. Yeah, so. Sorry?
Her name is Rose.
Ah, right, okay, because I just heard Rose. She didn't tell me it was her name, but I know that she was extremely passionate about God, spiritualism, and the afterlife. It was her salvation. I just heard a word, salvation. It gave her great strength and understanding. Because like with the turmoil of life at times, and she certainly had her fair share, you would understand this. So I know that with her. These books, there's loads of them. And you've got some of them, haven't you? And you would understand there's journals there where it's got her writings in.
Yeah, she makes notes.
Yeah, I know there's her handwriting in them, you see. But there's... and these books, you've looked at them, but you've not looked at them, she says, properly. So, it sounds like she might be giving you a lecture now. But I know that she gives me this sense that this is where, to do with the gentleman, where you're holding yourself back. That you're holding yourself back. And there's lots of answers to your questions you're sending to us through thought that you'll get a good understanding in some of these books. All right? There's some that are leather, aren't they? Like leather cover, old leather hardback. I don't know, there's one like a purpley colour. You would understand that. There's that one she shows me particular. So let me know what you don't have to tell me what the contents, but there's something in there. And I know I could pull out certain pages, but I feel that she's encouraging you to, when you get time, because it's chaos at the moment, to look at it, even in just short paragraphs, because it's like open a page and read it. And that one, there's lots of notes in as well, isn't there? There's some of her handwriting on a bit of paper in there. That's it, because there's a bit of paper in there with her handwriting on. And I feel where that page is quite significant as well. So if you look at that, so that's her way of coming forward. And her belief and her passion she gives to you. But she says the first thing you've got to do is believe in you. And that's the hardest thing. And it often is. But I know that's what she brings. And I know that because you've already had a message, but she's backing up with the gentleman and about, come on, there's the gentle nudge again. All right. But she's a lovely lady. Is she your grandmother? I'm going to say, because she feels very close to you, but I knew it wasn't your mum as such. Well, like, I mean, I said mum, didn't I, in the beginning, but actually as I've worked with her, you know where I'm coming from. Obviously, I'd even forgotten I'd said that. So I know that talking of been asking for some support there, because there was a reason she brought mum up. So that there's she's acknowledging that they're to help there as well, because I know you're asking for help there. Yeah, all right. So there's a little dog with her as well. It's not yours, I know, but we've been connected to a little Jack Russell. No, but would you understand the Jack Russell though in the family? Yeah, because she's got the Jack Russell at her feet, so I know she's doing a lot of work over there by the sounds of it. So, but I know she says, keep keeping on, and I know she encourages you forward. You know, there's no time like the present, she says. All right, so because we can keep putting it off tomorrow, and then next minute is 5 years down the road. All right, you would understand March the 12th or March 21st being an important birthday. Yeah, around there, right, thank you, because I know she makes, but that's quite a significant time, and I'm not predicting, It's a significant time. So, and I'm going, what's that about then? But I'm not allowed to know. But I know it's positive. So I leave her love with you as well, and I shall move on. Okay, let's see if I can get somebody else in the middle here. So, but bless you. Right, okay, now I hear John. So I got a gentleman here, his name's John. And there's a William strongly connected with him. I know also that he makes me stand very upright. So actually, I feel there's military connections with him. So I feel that there's medals and a uniform connected. I can't see the uniform, but I know I'm being told that. I know that I'm very upright, but I know I got pains in my chest before I pass. So there's something to do with a heart condition, or it connects to the lungs and the heart together. So I feel that with him. But I feel it was a condition that would have been known of, but yeah, the passing was very quick. For some reason, I want to come in the middle here somewhere. Do any of you lovely people understand? I feel I want to call him John. If you don't, I'll open it up to anybody else, but I just feel like I'm drawn straight here. One of you two gentlemen, do you understand this? Yeah, you know a John with those that with the heart or the chest problems there. Yeah, thank you. Because me very aware of that, but you'd also understand the military with him as well, or the connections there, and there's medals. No, okay, but the service, you would understand the service side of it, right? I'll find out with the medals. But you would understand William as well in spirit? Bill, William? No, I've got two gentlemen here. Do you understand the William? Yeah, you see. Because I'm straight at you two, you see. So now, would you understand medals connected to him?
You probably would have done.
Yeah, thank you. Because I know there's medals, so it's because you're both so sitting close together, you see. So I know I've got both gentlemen. So I'll come back to you, sir, at the back with John. I know that this condition there was there for quite some time with him. Do you understand this? That this... No. You knew that, yeah, because this is going to mirror some of this, I think. Excuse me, because I know it makes me aware of that. And, you're going to confuse me now, aren't they? So one of you two gentlemen got quite confused as well, because I feel the confusion before the past. There's a lot of confusion either within him and around him. Do you understand that? Know that. Would you understand that, sir? Yeah, because I've got both gentlemen, you see, this is the thing. Yeah, it's like, I'm going, well, hang on a minute, because it's like they're both eager to come in. And now, John's not your dad, is it? It is your dad. Right, you see, I should have known that, because I was about to say, well, I'm aware of your dad, but I didn't know. Yeah, so they're really confused. But I've got all this confusion going, so I know that's clouding my mind as well. So, as he comes forward, he is also a man sometimes of few words. Do you understand this, your dad? You know, he wasn't one to have, he could have conversation when it's the right subject, but he wasn't one for idle chit-chat. Does that make sense for you? Actually, as he got older, and he weren't bothered about too many people around him. But do you also understand in those last few days, last week or so, that there was a lot of people around him, and there was a lot going on, a busying around him, and obviously connected to him with his health, because things declined very quickly. You understand that? I know you've got the walking stick there, sir, but would you understand your dad having to have a walking stick as well? Or you've still got one in the family? There's a wooden one that's connected to dad. No, but there's something to do with a wooden stick and a walking stick, and I feel that it was his, but it could be his father's, but I just feel it's still in the family. That's what I wanted to say there. Right, okay. Yeah, because that's how he makes me aware. And I know that he was a bit unsure about all this. Your dad, do you understand? It's not something he believed or didn't really. I'm not saying he was a real anti this, but do you understand? He weren't really sure about it. That's how it makes me feel. But obviously he's there now, so it's completely different ball game. He's very much a man's man, and I know some of these bits, gentlemen in the front here is going to understand bits, because I know yours is coming in and I know they're mirroring, but I know he's very much a man's man. And would you, because you said about being of service, would he have gone to an ex-serviceman's club or a working man's club? No. Would your gentleman do that? Yeah, you see, this is where, because they keep chirping in. So, and I knew it was going to happen. So I know that, but you see, because your gentleman, he says a bit and they don't want to, you know, he's quite quiet. So the other one gets in then, you see what I mean? Which is quite funny. So they're having a conversation, they're just confusing me completely. But I know that your mum's there as well, isn't she? Mum's in spirit too, because I can feel this gentleness come in. But I know that she was a strong lady. Do you understand this? She didn't, excuse me, tolerate any nonsense, you know. So I know with her there to give you a bit, but I know that they come together and they've built bridges. So I don't quite know. I believe they was together before they passed, but there was things left unsaid or something wasn't quite right. Does that make sense to you? Say no if it's a no. You don't know. Do you understand there was situations within the family that never got resolved before they passed? Because I feel like it's been resolved now. That, yeah, because that's how it makes me feel. So I know Mum's a bit more of a conversationalist than your dad. So she would do a lot of the chatting. I know that because they make me aware of that. And do you also understand Daisy in spirit as well? Daisy? No. So I know that they mentioned Daisy's there, but I know that it sounds very general, but I've got your mum with a big mixing bowl, mixing some cake mixture or something up. Does that remember those memories where she was always doing things like that? But and I know that she was good at it as well. You understand that? So I know she was one of these that would do it with a cup, you know, like a cup of this, cup of that, and it always came out great, you know. And I can smell the baking and the cooking and all of that. But that was her, and how she loved that. She loved to feed everybody, you know. And I know she talks of that because Dad's here, but obviously he's not the one who's so much chatty. But you know, she's like, you're trying now to find things to nurture you, to nurture your soul, what uplifts you. But it's took you a long while to come to that point where instead of putting others first, you've had to put yourself first for a change. Does that make sense? And I know she's very pleased that you're starting to do that. And I know that you're much more expressible, give much more expression verbally now than your dad ever did. You're, especially in the last couple of years. Do you understand that? So I know they've been watching and supporting there. But I know there's also been an anniversary of passing not long gone. I feel like I want to go back into January. Does that make sense? Sorry? Right, so my hearing's not very good. As long as you understand, I just know that they make me aware of that. But I know that there's a great reunion in the spirit world with them all and with friends. And I know that when she gives me community and family, you're now finding your community, the right people, like-minded people. And because it's like for some time there that it was like something was missing in your life and you didn't, either you fitted in or you just didn't have like-minded people, whereas I know they make me aware that now you're starting to feel like you've found your place more, you know, and of course you're a greater understanding of you, your purpose and of life. So I know there's quite a philosophical side to this. I'm not saying Mum and Dad were when they were here, but I know that they've been observing and how you've been looking at life from different eyes. And yeah, and they also talk of you finding forgiveness. I don't know particularly for them, but for others that have been in situations with you, you've actually managed to find forgiveness now for those and let it go. Does that make sense? Yeah, and that takes great strength So I know that your mum's fussing round you. She's like straightening up. You haven't got a collar on it where you have under there, but she's straightening it up and fussing. So I know she would do things like that when she, in whatever age you was. You know, it didn't matter what age you was. She'd always be doing that with you. You two aren't related, are you? No. It just feels so, but I know I've got your gentleman. And yeah, and probably your mum as well. But I'm going to leave their love with you, and I know they're so proud. And I know that's not a word they'd say that often when they're, but I know they're so proud. And it's never too late, is it? And that you're starting to put things into place for you now, which is very important to make you happy rather than just pleasing others all the time. I mean, it's good to please others, but it's a balance, isn't it? So I leave her love with you. Thank you. And your dad's, of course. So thank you for working with. And I know some of this mirrors, so I probably don't really need to say a lot more to you because I know it works for you as well, doesn't it? But would you understand that, because your mum's also in spirit as well, isn't she? And your dad was part of a working man's club or an ex-serviceman's club, or it would have gone to one.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, because I know that with him, because I want to divide, you see, to confirm that I've definitely got the two. So, well, 4, it seems now, doesn't it, mums and dad? And but you would understand the William, because that's just come back. We've already established that. And okay. You see, your dad, you got him on a good subject. You could have a real good discussion with him.
Yes.
In fact, you could have quite a debate with him, especially if he disagreed, you know. And when I say debate, it could be a bit borderline on an argument, but it wasn't, I don't know, he liked it. He enjoyed it as good, fresh debate, healthy debate, shall we call it. So I know that with him. But you learned a lot from him, really, didn't you, your dad? You know, I mean, you looked up to him, I've got to say. But he was a man, he feels like he was in some sort of authority or some sort of managerial position within his work or some. He just was well respected. That's how I feel with him.
As a person, yes.
Yeah, but I know he's very much well respected.
Yeah. Someone you could trust.
Yeah, and in the community as well, you know, not just in the family, but within the community, because that's how it makes me feel. And, you know, but, you know, we all have our faults, but your dad actually always did his best to try and help others, if he could. If he could, he would do. And would you understand a memory, it may have even been you, where somebody broke down and he was driving past and he would just come along and try and help you. You can't nowadays with cars because they're too complicated. But would you understand a memory of that?
I remember we broke down one of the Blackwood towels we called the 3-mile towel because of the...
A bit like the cause of chaos tonight. No, that was different. But yeah, but I know it takes me to a memory where you got the car bonnet up, you see, and trying to sort the car out. And I know he would help there and one thing and another. So I know that your dad was quite handy as well. You know, like I'm not saying his trade was mechanics, but I know he could do mechanics. But I know that I can smell metal around him. So wherever he worked was either like mechanical engineering or in that type of environment. You would understand that. So I know I can smell the metal, I can hear the machinery. So I know he worked in that. So that's why he had a good eye for a car engine, because of what he did as a job. So he now makes me aware of that. He loved it, actually. He loved his job, didn't he? He was very passionate about it. And he did it for years. In fact, all his working life, didn't he? And he stayed at one company for quite a long time as well, didn't he? 30 years or something like that. Because I'm so sorry because of this cold. But I know that's what he makes me aware of. I'm very proud of that and proud. And when he looks back, because he was humble, he never did things, oh, look at me, I need a medal for what I did. Because I know he's helped lots of people, but actually he's quite now looks back and he acknowledges what good bits he did do, or good deeds, really. You know, and often we do these things without giving self-recognition. And I know he's mirroring that. Your mum's here and she will come forward, but she can't get a word in at the minute because he's quite, yeah. Oh, I know, but he's quite on he's on one of these, what I call like on his soapbox, you know, like when he wants to get going, he will. Like I said, when he has a healthy debate, he would. So, but I know with that, he reflects, brings that to you. Because you followed his footsteps in many ways, not so much career and things, the type of the deeds you do and the way you look at life and others. So I know that he wants you to acknowledge what you have done, because there's been a situation he makes me aware of where you've questioned if you did the right thing or somebody's questioned you, and it made you question yourself. And he goes, look at all what you do, and you have done, in a good way, he means. So I know he's proud of you in that way, and of course he's proud, our families are. But your mum, you would understand, would be straightening his jacket, fussing, a bit like, because I thought with the gentleman beyond with his mum, but I know that she's very much fussing around. She'd be fussing and doing, and busy, your mum, weren't she? Always doing. Sit down, mother. That's what I almost want to go, will you sit down? But obviously, as she got towards later, she had to, because she hadn't got the mobility and the energy. So I know all my joints hurt. So I don't know whether they're arthritis or whatever. But there was a mixture of that and an illness there. So I know that the two made each other worse. So I know mobility got very difficult for her. And it almost shows me like a frame, like a Zimmer frame, but as if she pushes it away, so I'm touching that. So I don't know whether she did actually ever use one, but I know that that would have been, she needed something to help her. But of course she was very strong-willed and determined, and why not? That's what keeps us going. So just to give you a bit about mum. So, but she's let your dad do a lot of the talking, of course. Viennese whirls, would they be a favourite? Of all the things I've just been given I haven't had a Viennese whirl for ages. Yeah. And I don't know whether she made them herself as well, but it's easy to buy them, isn't it? But I haven't had one that makes me hungry. Yeah, so she gives you Viennese whirls. So I know that food, you know. But you're cutting back on sugar, she just said. Yeah, so you shouldn't be eating them, should you? So it's all right getting them from the spirit world because you can't eat them. So, and I can hear your dad laughing, so I know your dad's got quite the sense of humour there as well. Do you understand a TED in spirit? That's short for Edward, isn't it, sometimes? Yes. Yeah. So I don't know, because I got Ted, not Edward, but I thought I know it's often short, so I know that they're being wanted to be remembered as well. So anything else? He says, you just keep keeping up the good work, son. And it's kind of almost, all right, because what you see with your dad is what you get, all right? So it gives me this, shows me this scenario, like drama's over there and you're standing here. Like, no. Do you understand what I'm saying? And he says, and that's where he says about that situation where you've questioned. And it's almost like in greatest love and respect. I don't do that. I don't do drama. And then carry on doing the good work. Yeah, that's what he says. And again, he's not one for hearts and flowers and fluffy stuff, but I know there's a great respect for you with him as well, vice versa, you know. And a chip off the old block, I just heard that. So, and your mum's still trying to give them Viennese whirls to give to, but, you know, so, but you can't have them anyway. So, but anyway, so with that, that's all they really want to say. So I leave their love with you, and thank you for working with me. I got there in the end. Just one more. Okay. Right, okay.
That curtain, because the draft's cutting in, and I can see people freezing, so I'm going to go over that curtain over there. You carry on.
Okay, okay. Okay. I've got a lady with me, and I feel I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say Dot or Dorothy. So I know that name feels very significant to her. I'm aware of a lady that's quite slender built. I feel she was anyway, but become even more slender before she passed. I feel as well there was cancer there that was taken, and I know sadly many have suffered cancer, but I know with her, and she battled this cancer, and I feel like I want to say it's breast or in the lungs. It's in that chest area, or went to both there. But the name Dot or Dorothy feels significant. Again, I'm not sure it's her name because I'm not quite getting that, but I just feel it's connected there. I almost went with Dorothy with the Wizard of Oz, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, no, she wasn't in Wizard of Oz, of course, but that's what I keep being shown. But I know that she's the slenderest lady. Who would understand this? I'm not sure. I'm kind of leaning that way. Do you understand it? Do you understand the Dot, the Dorothy? Doris. Oh, no wonder I weren't sitting comfortably because I couldn't make my mind up. And I thought, I don't know whether I've got it right. But you would understand the description of her. I don't normally do that type of description, but that's how she portrays herself to me. She's always was a slender lady, but she'd become very frail and thin. But not initially with this cancer, but it gripped her very quickly. Within a matter of weeks, she declined, didn't she? Matter of weeks. I feel that there would have been, I don't know whether, let me get this, because it makes me feel a bit confused. But I know she was also a little bit confused as well, because there's this in and out of consciousness at that point. But you would understand there was questions of cancer prior, or there was a misdiagnosis. Things weren't quite right for some time. And then I feel like there was a secondary cancer, or it had gone further. And I don't feel as if she really had much cancer treatment. I feel it was too late. Does that make sense? And I know they would have given us something. I don't know whether it's like, now they can give you like chemotherapy tablets, but they give us something to help her, but nothing touched it. Do you understand that? And that decline was very quick then. And I know that she would rather be remembered when she had a little bit more weight on her because she was so frail. But I know that she had such an amazing strength in it. Amazing strength. You know, she wasn't doom and gloom at all, was she? You know, if it's my time, that type of thing. She's very close to you. I feel a lot of love. Understand? I'm not saying it's mum, because mum, it's not mum, but I know that there's a good relationship there. So, and I know that you were supportive of her at that time as well, or you tried to be where you could. Yeah, but you. Yeah, because I was just going to say there's distance. I know you couldn't always be there. So I know, but you tried to support her. But you did more than that because you sent prayers for her too. So I know she's acknowledging all what you did, because you didn't tell her that you did that. But I know that you did a lot behind the scenes to help her. But you did as well, Barbara. Would that be? Because I just know she wants to acknowledge you as well, you see. I don't know if you actually met or anything. I didn't feel like you did, but I just feel that you supported together in those healing prayers and putting her in the healing book and so on and so forth. So I know she's very grateful for that. She was a believer anyway, wasn't she? I'm not saying she was a spiritualist, but she was a believer.
She wouldn't come into a spiritualist church, but she believed the way of life.
Yeah, because I know she's a believer. There's no ifs and buts there. Very much a believer, and of course, obviously, she's not been disappointed, of course. And but would you understand her being very creative in her day? You know what I mean is like needlework, and I mean, me personally, I'm not got any patience with needlework. Give me a paintbrush, I'm fine. But you know, but she was the other way around. She would be very good with give her a needle and cotton, or she could make doilies, and she could make patchwork quilts and all sorts, couldn't she? She was really handy with it. And would you understand that for years there she had an old sewing machine? She didn't use that one. I felt she had a more modern one. Not in a latter part of her life, of course, but I felt she would have had an old sewing machine. Oh, I don't know whether you'd remember it. It's one of them where it looks like a table. And then yeah, and but you could have them, because my mum had one actually, and it was electric still, but it was like an old one. And then you have the foot pedal and that. So, and it would all look just like a, what do you call it, table? Yeah, just a decorative piece. But yeah, like I said, inside it was this, yeah, so you remember her having it. So I know she was very proud of that, and how creative she was. But she was very creative within the design, like with curtains and all of that in her home decorative stuff. And I know she'd get very excited about it, but she loved all that. You know, that was her passion. And I don't know whether she did something like that as a job somewhere at some point as well, because I feel that she would have done it for other people as well. So people would ask her to make things for them there as well. So I know that with that, she hasn't been through for a long time, has she? Yeah, I nearly said that, but I thought if it is, yeah. But I know that she's been busy, so there you go. But I know that she makes me aware that you're surprised she's come forward. But she's often been in your thoughts now and again. You think of her and how she's doing. And I know with that, I know that there's still certain either quilts that she's made and things are still in the family. I don't know whether you'd know that, but I know you're aware that she could make all those things. Very skilled at that. I'd make a right mess, but she'd zip one up in no time. So I know she brings that. And she says your life's been a bit like a patchwork quilt at the minute, you know, and it's like trying to piece things together and sort things out. So I know that life's felt a bit mismatched a bit. And it's like sort of in different areas and trying to sort it all out. So I know with that, but also it's finding what you're passionate about that lifts you, because she talks about that again, like how she loved her sewing and the passion of that. And I know you've been trying to find things and what you want, and actually have to encourage the both of you together as well, of actually finding more time for each other as well, because it's been so mishmash with things around, with family and certain situations, which I'm not asking into. It's not really, you've had much time where you can do the things you both love together. Does that make sense? And I know that even though you never knew her, Barbara, I know she sends you a lot of love because you need it at the moment too. But that's the sort of thing she would do, because, you know, it's almost like she comes in with that one of these quilts and wraps it round you, you know? Yeah, well, I get cold easy, but she wraps it round you, so she's a very nurturing lady. And I know that she left quite an imprint on your heart when she passed.
Yeah, because I didn't know. Nobody told me.
Yeah, because it's just this.
I was phoning and I couldn't get.
Yeah, oh,
I was
so sad.
Cards and not receiving.
Yeah.
You always do.
Yeah, so, but I know that it did, because that's what she says, but no regrets now. So, but I know she's obviously happily doing, and I was still sewing by all accounts, happily doing things and helping us. But she'd make things and clothes for children, wouldn't she? And she'd donate them as well, wouldn't she? I don't know whether she'd make them. I don't know, but I'm getting this image as if she would, yeah, charitably make them. I don't know whether she did for an orphanage or something as well. But I know it was for children that were in need that she would do things like that. So lovely lady. But he says, then she goes, but she's a lovely lady. So, and then she smiles, you know. So I know that she talks of love and happiness. I know life brings its curveballs, but love and happiness and finding time for you, for what nurtures you, but also you two as a couple is very important now, because I know you've not had that I didn't know, but from what she's telling me. And I know these things put a strain sometimes. So, but I'm going to leave her love with you and her quilt and her doilies and whatever else she has. So God bless you both. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, thank you. I hope nobody else heard that. Friends, what a wonderful demonstration of mediumship. Shelley Youell. I feel duty bound, really. The subject of who was there at Dad's passing has only ever been discussed between two people, and that was me and Mum on the way home. And it's never come up. The condition and how he felt has never come up. And my sister was there, but I was doing a bit like this with the mobile phone because they'd only let the two of us in. So I'd got the phone propped and my sister was talking to him. And Paul had COVID, so she wouldn't have been allowed in anyway. But yeah, so we managed to Jimmy rigger a way of communicating. And you actually said about the people that were there and Mum coming through first, which it was. And you also said, and this is the first time I've ever said it publicly, so I hope I'm forgiven, but I'm going to anyway. You said there were other people there, and I don't know whether it was brothers and sisters. It was my brothers and sisters. Right. So thank you, really. And you weren't here for the beginning part of the philosophy I gave. I was talking about a friend of mine and how he visited me last night. And his name was Stuart, but I'd got off that bit before you even arrived. So, wow. God bless you. Thank you. And it's not very often that I'm still a little bit choked from the beginning right the way through to the end, but it means a lot, so thank you. And friends, I think I'm probably going to go and see Tony for some healing after the service. I'm taking one of the slots. Seriously, thank you. Thank you. A wonderful demonstration. You've had some comments as well. And our friend, you know Tony, because he chaired for you when I couldn't make it one week. He did send you a message earlier on saying, as an old boss once said to him, I'd rather you were 40 minutes late than 40 years early to the other side. Which was what he said when he first arrived. And there's a few more that you might want to have a look at later. But no, thank you so much. We're doing things a little bit back to front because I know somebody's going to be wanting her bed soon. And I did promise that even though she can't be here to run the raffle, but don't worry, I'm not doing it, Mum is. We've got a young lady waiting in the wings to do Bully's special prize. So I'm going to ask now a very important question. Can you hear us? And what time is it? What's up?
Did you want Bully?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I said, what time is it?
Hey. Bully prize.
Bully's special prize. Mother, pull the ticket. 592.
Yeah.
Oh, you will not believe this. Right, I'm just going to... Hannah, would you like to show everybody your beautiful piece of art today? Look at that. Hannah's encaustic art. It's just amazing, actually. I can see so much in it in the picture that you sent me earlier.
You look.
You won't have far to go to give it to its prize winner, but I will explain later. But yeah, let's just say a relative. See, you can see that it wasn't a fix now.
Isn't it?
So thank you so much for getting out your
Yes.
sick bed, my darling.
Yes.
And we're
Who
very,
won
very
it,
grateful
by
for
the
you
way?
keeping the tradition alive.
Who won it, by the way?
His name's Andrew.
Oh, Andrew. Andrew.
Even when we're not there.
Exactly. So well done, and
Yeah.
thank you so much. Now you get yourself to bed. You do
Yes.
as your mum tells you. You look after yourself,
Yes.
because we want you back here safe and well next
Yes.
week, please God.
Yes.
All right then.
Very much.
Everybody, Sam and Hannah! God bless you, and we'll see you later.
Yes.
Next week.
And I want somebody back to run the computer for me and all. So, friends, thank you so much. We will have Raffle full in a moment. But first and foremost, so that I don't make the same mistake as I did last week, let's join together in our closing prayer. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together and witness your truth, witness your strength, and witness your power that life is indeed eternal. As we go out into the world, let us take with strength and courage and conviction that message that we have received here tonight, and that message that we receive in our hearts. And let us stand proudly and tallly and shout from the loftiest of mountain grandeur that the truth of eternal life is very much here and present in this world. And when in times of difficulty, Great Spirit, we ask that you do not move that mountain. Just give us the strength to climb. Until we meet again in your name. Amen. Well, to all of our friends who've been watching online at home, thank you for your support and joining us. And I'm glad to see that the comments have come. They can hear us now. And in actual fact, the Village Hall Wi-Fi is better than my mobile phone, so we'll be sticking to that now in future too. Brilliant stuff. We get there in the end. It's only taken, 6 months? But never mind. Thank you all for your support. We're going to go and have a raffle now. But for all of you at home, God bless you. May the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. And good night. And I need